Hey guys, what is going on? So I just got dropped by YoungLA and I wanted to talk about my experience working with the brands. Hopefully that can provide some insight on whether you may or may not want to work with them in the future. If you are currently a content creator or maybe in the future, or if you're just interested in my experience, I'll be going over that. I get a lot of questions about how I landed a deal with YoungLA or Gorilla Minds, being a smaller creator. So I'll talk about that. Before I get into those things, I haven't posted on this channel in a couple months. I just have not wanted to talk about supplements as much. I've wanted to kind of pivot into other things. I've been doing this for a while. I have a second channel that I've been posting to consistently. And again, I just don't want to be put entirely in the box that the YouTube algorithm has put me in for this channel. So I'm starting a new one. It's a little bit more broad, talking about a variety of different topics relating to, bodybuilding and stuff like that. So if you are interested in that, it is Cooper Doran Training. If you're not and you just care about, YoungLA and stuff like that, I will talk about that now. So, basically my experience working with YoungLA, how I landed a deal with them and stuff like that. I will get into that. So, I've gotten asked many times how I started working with Gorilla, and then more recently YoungLA, considering I'm a smaller creator. And I would just go over exactly what I did. So with Gorilla Minds, I was, I had a very small following. I had like 50 subscribers on YouTube. I had probably an even smaller Instagram. And I just started documenting my experiences with Gorilla Mind products. Started making reviews, started, logging my experience with like testosterone and stuff. And people like that. So I gained a following by doing that. So my following was actually people who liked the brand or were at least interested in the brand. And so even though I had a small following, as it grew, it was very specific to a certain type of person who was interested in Gorilla Mind. So again, that small following that I had, maybe I had like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube when I ended up working with Gorilla, which was in July of last year. So I started using their products in 2020, started making videos, back then and even prior I was making videos and, just talking about Gorilla Mind. And that's, again, how I gained my following. After months of doing that, no association with them whatsoever, no sponsorship or anything like that. I was just a fan of their products and I was outspoken about using them. Eventually, I ended up being able to work with them because, again, my following was interested in their products and I was providing value to that company. And that's kind of the main thing that I want you guys to understand is that, a company is going to want to work with athletes or affiliates or sponsored people in general who provide value to their company. They're trying to make money at the end of the day. So if you can get them sales directly, indirectly, that's what they want out of you. So the fact that my following was listening to my positive experiences about, Gorilla Mind products, that was an asset to them. So that is my understanding of why I was able to work with them. Fast forward to April 2022. That's when YoungLA hit me up. YoungLA, I've tagged them, when I buy their products. I usually do this with any company that I buy from. I did that a few times and YoungLA just reached out to me on Instagram. I don't know if it's because I tagged them or, how they found me, but, a very common thing with YoungLA is people who work with Gorilla Minds are usually good fits with YoungLA. There's a lot of overlap there. So I think that's probably how they found me. I don't think it was anything that I was doing. If you want to get sponsored by YoungLA, get sponsored by Gorilla first, I guess, is the formula. So that's how it happened for me. I didn't reach out to them. I didn't apply to work with them or anything like that. I was not even going for that. Like in the back of my mind, when I was posting, about Gorilla, I knew that would be cool. I knew that I would want to work with Gorilla. I didn't think it was actually a possibility, so I didn't actually post about them with the intention of getting sponsored, but it did end up happening. So that was pretty cool. With YoungLA, that was never a thought that I had. I was never like, oh, I want to get sponsored by YoungLA. But when they reached out, I basically told them I don't really think I can sell clothing. That's not really what I talk about. I don't think people follow me for my fashion advice or anything like that. I'm like, oh, cool. We can just, put you on a trial, see if it's a good fit, and we can work from there. And that seemed like a reasonable, Compromise there. Turns out that's what they do with all their athletes. They put them on a 3-month trial, and that's what I had as well. So it was not very, it was not exactly what I thought. But anyway, they have these posting requirements that you have to, do on Instagram, and they have a sale requirement where you have to hit 50 sales in a month to stay on the team or to join the team. So they give you 3 months to have 1 month where you make 50 sales. And that seemed a little ambitious to me. I didn't think I'd be able to do that. But again, I already told them like, hey, I don't really think I'm going to be able to sell that much. So I don't know if they were like super strict with this number. I just kind of went in and I'm like, okay, why not? Give it a shot, because I don't know how many people really care about this brand at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens. And, ultimately, to kind of sum it up, I felt like when I would post about it on Instagram, post about it on my story or whatever, my audience didn't really seem to care that much. Maybe that's my audience. That was kind of what I thought was going to happen anyway. But my audience didn't seem to care that much about my opinion on these products. And ultimately, I think that makes sense. I mean, clothing and what is cool is subjective. So who cares about my opinion on whether something's cool or not? You should make that decision for yourself. So me saying that something is cool doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So with YoungLA, when I talk about a supplement, I can talk about all the ingredients in it and what they do and why you might want to use it. And would I recommend this supplement over this? There's so much to talk about. There's so much insight that I can provide on a YoungLA supplement. So I feel like I have a lot of value in explaining that to my audience. Clothing, it's like, hey, this is how this fits or something like that. I don't really think that there's much else that goes into it. So I didn't really feel like whether I posted about something or not, it didn't really seem to make much of a difference. If I recommended like a product, I was like, oh, this is on sale. It didn't really seem to matter for people. People just kind of ended up buying whatever they wanted. And it didn't really feel like I had much persuasion one way or the other. People didn't really care about my opinion on the product. So it just kind of seemed pointless for me to post about it. And when I did post, my engagement on Instagram, my story views and everything like that, they went down. My audience just simply didn't seem to be all that interested. Now, sure, I had some followers who were interested, but not a lot. So, most of them didn't really care. And I don't think that was good for my Instagram engagement. And I kind of regret posting as much as I did, but ultimately I posted about the things that I wanted, which kind of gets me into the story requirements and the post requirements. They have this list of requirements that you have to hit in terms of how much you post about them. I completely ignored it. I was never actually followed by the brand, which I saw as my opportunity to not be subject to those guidelines. And I didn't follow them. So I don't know how strict they are in general with those, but considering I was like, who is even watching if I'm posting? I just didn't follow them, and I only posted what I wanted to. And that's the philosophy that I've had with YoungLA, and that's the philosophy that I wanted to have moving forward. So if that couldn't be established, if I was subject to a strict set of what I had to post, I didn't want to do it. So I just said, okay, I'm not going to do it from the jump, and we'll see what happens. And they never said anything about it. So basically, as you can imagine, audience not being that interested, didn't really seem like I had any persuasion one way or another on what people bought or when people bought or whatever. And then not posting about it all that much, you can imagine I never hit the sales target, which is 50 sales in a month. I never came close to that. And that's why I was dropped. And again, the reason that a company wants to work with you as an affiliate is to make them as a company more money. You are a business move, right? That's what you are. You are benefiting the business. If you're not, they're going to drop you. So that's what happened. I got dropped. I wasn't providing enough value. I'm not sure exactly why the threshold is 50 sales instead of a certain, number of like dollar amount in terms of sales. I'm not sure why they do it that way, but at the end of the day, wasn't providing enough sales to stay on the team. So that was my experience there. I don't regret working with YoungLA other than just like the engagement that I got on Instagram. It seems like my Instagram is kind of much lower engagement than it used to be. But I'm not saying that that's due to YoungLA. It could have been due to a number of different things. So I don't really know. But that has been my experience. And, if you're thinking about working with YoungLA or any other company, those are some things to keep in mind. You want to actually provide a value to the brand. If you want to not be subject to like certain minimum thresholds in terms of posting, in terms of sales amounts, that's something to keep in mind. But ultimately, the way that you provide value to YoungLA or any other brand is to grow your own brand and to have more followers who are interested in what you're doing and care about your insights. And if your Instagram is focused on your cool gym outfits, you're probably going to have way more conversions on YoungLA than somebody like me who never has talked about it. So something to keep in mind, I would say go for companies that are in line with what you talk about in your content if you are a content creator. And if it's not in line, like for me, I love supplements. I love explaining what they do. I love letting people know like what is going to do certain things and recommending a certain thing over another. I like providing insight to people. I like helping people out. That is perfectly in line with Gorilla Mind. It's a perfect fit for me. YoungLA, not really. In terms of, I never even wanted to work with a clothing brand in the first place. But if there's one exception, it was YoungLA. So when they reached out to me, I ended up saying yes at the end of the day. And now I'm fully confident that I don't really want to work with a clothing brand in the future. So you live and you learn. I have no, negative emotions towards YoungLA. I just don't think it was really a good fit, in general. So that was my experience. Hopefully that can help some people out in terms of deciding if that's something they want to pursue, or if maybe they're thinking about working with the brand, maybe they got the opportunity, or maybe you're planning on doing in the future. Hopefully this can provide some insight, help you make a decision with YoungLA or any other brand, things to look for. Try and align with the brand. Make sure that the brand is in line with what you're talking about. And, make sure that you really like it, obviously. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I'll keep you updated, and I'll talk to you soon.